I don't know why it's so dark in here. No comments yet. Okay. Welcome everybody to 12 Faces of Sober Speaks. I am your host, Kenny Watson. We're doing something a little bit different this time. Normally I do pre-recorded, but seeing that I have a fellow author with me, we decided to take a shift and go live. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest, and she's going to take it from there. I actually met this queen probably about a little over almost about a month or so ago. I met her through the Sonship Sonship Publishing cohort that we both applied for and got accepted into, which I would have to say has been a great opportunity. It's kind of opened up our minds to a lot of different things of how to market our books and how to eventually become a bestseller. So I think that's pretty dope that we share that. And like I said, we're also authors. And Miss Dee McNair has wrote a book, and it's called Father Then the Eyes Can See. Now, Delanda, before we get into your book, I would like for you to share a little bit about yourself to my audience.
Let's see. I am a North Carolina native. I grew up and was born and raised in a very, very small town, Roper, North Carolina. I am the fourth born of five children. And let's see, I have two older brothers and an older sister, myself, and then a younger sister. And before my parents met, my father had a daughter, so I have a sister that's older than the five of us. She actually lives in Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, I come from a large family too. I'm the youngest of five, so I can relate to the big family and having to fight for all kind of stuff. So tell me about this book that you wrote, and when exactly did you actually get it published?
Let's see. The writings for the book actually began around 1995. The book writing process for me was a long process because um, I had never journaled, and it was not something that I had actually set out to do. It came to me in a dream that kept on going. Every time I would like talk about it, write out my dreams, and it was like I was seeing it in my dreams. I was talking about it to my sister, and then I was writing it out. That's when it was like just expanding. So it started in 1995. It actually was published in 2013. Again, it was not something that I actually looked forward to because I didn't like the idea of my name and my face being on something for the public eye.
Okay. I can attest to that because it's still a shock to me having, looking at my book and seeing, my face and name on it as well. So I could just imagine. So how, seeing that you said you started, having the dreams in 95. Now, how were you able to actually remember the dreams? Because sometimes the dreams be so good that you want to remember, but then you don't. So like, how are you able to actually remember the dreams and be able to jot
Uh,
it?
okay, so that is because it was it truly was a God thing. So I would be like, sometimes I would just simply have dreams.
Mm,
And then in the morning, it was like when I would wake up, it would just be like an automatic, like a replay, like somebody push replay, and it's like I could see it visually. And excuse my gloved hand, I cut myself,
oh, it's all right.
and that was the only way I could keep the bandage on this crazy area where it landed. So so it's like my dreams were like a live vision print when I would wake up. And then there were times where I would um, have the dream and just be moved to get up and actually wake up from my sleep, go to the actual, at that time I had a desktop. So go to the other room to write, and I could spend like hours writing and then go back to sleep like I had never missed a beat, and get up the next day and go work 8 hours. And it was like executed flawlessly. So it was truly a God-given thing. It was so not me, and it was just me simply, to some degree, moving and being obedient to his move and being like, it's hearken to move and hear what he had to say to me at that time.
So during that process, as you were writing it down, was it more or less just like you were just writing it, like writing, how did you pretty much put it together, I guess is the question. How were you able to piece together that puzzle? Because you said basically it was almost 9 years before you put it out. I mean, when you first started.
Okay, so when I was having those dreams in 95, when the dream started, okay, so what happened is my younger sister and I have had a conversation. And then once we had that conversation, I had that dream. That was my first dream. And, like people have dreams. So it was no big deal. And it was like the last conversation I had before I went to sleep that night. So I didn't think a whole lot about it. But for the next 2 nights after that first night, it was a repetitive dream. And so I got my sister on the phone and I was like, okay, you remember the conversation that we had? Why am I still like I'm having a repetitive dream about that conversation? And beyond that dream, this is what I saw in my dream. And so going back to when I started having those dreams, what I would do is I was penning. I was just writing, like whatever clips I got in my head, I was just writing it down. And every time I wrote a clip, so to speak, it's like the next night, it was like more information was being dumped. So it turned out that what I was doing is I was writing notes along the way as I was writing out my dreams. So fast forward when I finally moved back to North Carolina, because at that time I was a flight attendant. So I was a flight attendant living in Miami, Florida. So my first year, because I flew for 2 years. So my first year I was in Miami, Florida. And then my second year I lived in Nashville, Tennessee. And so by the time when I was about to come back to leave Nashville to come back to North Carolina, I came back to North Carolina in, I think it was 1999. And then I got serious. I was like, okay, I'm really going to be living in North Carolina because I didn't think I would ever be living in North Carolina again. But things happened in my family and I realized I need to be closer to home. So I got serious about living in North Carolina and I bought like a townhouse in 2001. So now I have all these boxes because I have been moving since like age of 17. And so from 95 to the time I was in Tennessee, I had these boxes where I had like tissue paper with notes on it. Like all these random notes pages and slips that I had been writing on. So I had compiled them all in one box. And then I was like, okay, let me just dump all this information in a Word doc. And so I went to the desktop and I just started dumping the information. And then as I was dumping the information, it was expanding as I was transferring the information. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, let's get rid of these little pieces of paper and napkins so I could just throw that away and put the information in one place. But once I did that, once I transferred that information, that's when it really kicked in. And it was like I was transferring in some aspects, and then in other areas of the writings, I was actually able to expand. So it was literally like I was just lending my hands to God, really, because I didn't create a storyline. I did not go somewhere and create characters. I did not go somewhere and create a time of year. I just finally said, okay, God, if you dump it here, I'll dump it. I'll write it. But I was like, it's not going to have my name and it's not going to have my face. So I thought, because I had already come up with my pen name. And when you use a pen name, you do not necessarily have to have a picture of a person on the book in my mind.
Right.
So yeah, that's what made it easier to have some kind of organization about the writings, because I had those notes and then I compiled those notes to that Word doc. And then as I compiled them, God gave me an expansion of the storyline. And then it's crazy because when it was suggested to me to read my book as a true reader, because I had never done that, I didn't even realize that there was like residue of me in those writings. It's crazy because again, these writings began in 1995. I actually wrote a stroke scene in that book. To my knowledge, as I think about it now, nobody that I knew directly firsthand had experienced a stroke. Those writings began in 1995. In 2012, the last weekend of April in 2012. My mother came to visit. So she spent the first part of the week at my younger sister's house. And then that Friday when I came home from work, she met me here at my townhouse. Well, that was April 27th. My mother did not ever leave because she had a stroke that weekend.
Okay.
So what was a week for her to get away end up being since April 2012, the last weekend in April, to like now. And I've been able to be her full-time caregiver. I wrote about that stroke scene having no idea I was writing my own therapy.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I'm really liking this information because of the simple fact of you never, I mean, being that we're, like I said, we're both authors, you don't really get a chance to pick somebody else's brain and say, like, how did you come up with it, and the whole process. And I think it was pretty dope at the fact that a lot of this came from a dream, you know. So I guess the question is all the stuff was coming from a dream. Did you actually now is this a true story? And you just switch the names out, or how did that work?
Okay, so at that time when I gave, for instance, the individual that dealt with a stroke, it ended up being a male. It was one of the characters' father. So yes, he has a different name. Well, to answer your question, yeah, these people all have different names. Okay. It's just that it is fiction. It's inspirational fiction with a drama romance balance. You know what I'm saying? So it is puffed up enough that it is not my complete absolute from A to Z story. It's just smidges of my life wrapped up in the writings. And so it can truly have those individuals with totally different names, and their storylines go on to expand in different avenues, because it is, for the most part, just small residue of things that I experienced, or like my mom's situation. So yes, it's fiction.
Okay. Yeah, because when I did my book, I struggled with that myself in terms of, do I want to put the actual, the names in the book, or not? But I chose to change everybody's name that pretty much I had relationships with, minus my current situation, only because it was like, all right, she's not gonna try to sue me. So everybody else might be my family, they cool, but those past relationships. So that's why I wanted to know about that. So let's talk about the book. You
Okay.
talked about the process. Let's dive into the book. So you had these dreams. Now you put it all together. Now what's the results? What's in the book?
Oh my word. I know most people out there, most of their lives are decent and in order and has no chaos whatsoever. Unfortunately, that book does not start off like that. It is kind of chaotic, and it has a whole lot of life going on. It is the title. Okay, so the title comes from the scripture in Matthew 6:33, I believe it is, where it says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God." And most of us, a lot of us, I'll say me, like, we have a lot of life that goes on, and to some degree we believe that if it's simple enough, or it appears to be small enough, that we got it, we can handle it, we could do it. I could do it all by myself. There was a book my little nephew had growing up, and he used to tell his mom, I could do it by myself. So but the thing is, the scripture was given to us to seek him first for a reason, because him being all knowing, he know we can't show that all by ourselves. And so the storyline it begins with a male, one of the characters, a male figure. He's in and out of the present and reminiscing and thinking about the past, because he had a stream of like 4 or 5 years that was pretty much stricken and taken away from him because of a choice that he made, and someone else disagreed with that choice and decided to take matters in their own hand for what they assumed to be the betterment of his wife, basically. So that is a situation. That's one situation. Now, because the sister-in-law took those matters into her hands, now she's opening up a whole can of worms to affect his life, her brother-in-law's life, her sister's life as his wife, their unborn child that is about to be birthed, and her life. So, and their friends. And it took her making that decision, walking out those actions on the completed side of those actions to realize, wait a minute, what have I done? Maybe this was not the way. But of course, at that point, there were no backstepping. It had already been done. It was no taking it back. And so for that storyline, that is a big part of the storyline, because now it's about, again, 4.5, 5 years has gone by. These people's lives has been turned upside down. To some degree, two of them do not know the full capacity of what has taken place. And she is the only one who knows absolutely everything that happened, but she's living life like not like everything is okay. So she hasn't told anyone yet. But there's a situation that happens one day for the little girl who's about 4 now, and she it opens this door about how necessary family is and how necessary it is for you to have a true rooted understanding of where you come from. And this little girl couldn't have that because she's in a household with what she thinks to be her mom, or the lady that's acting to be her mom who isn't her mom, and she's never laid eyes on her father knowingly. So that's one situation. And then the other situation is on the flip side of the young lady who made the decision that's disrupted these lives. Now she is dealing with like a, how can I say this? She disappointed herself, and in the process of trying to figure out how to fix that, as well as how to come clean with the other lives that she's disrupted. And she does not believe that she deserves forgiveness. She does not believe she deserves self-forgiveness, and she does not believe that she deserves forgiveness from the others. So in the process of her being so disappointed with herself, it's a challenge for her to be able to have someone to appreciate her for the who and what that she is, because that's who they see, not her errors and her mistakes. So that's another story. That's another character storyline. So, and then the other one is like, you know how everyone has like their how can I say, like their rock. You can have a group of 4 friends, and in the process, it's always that one that everyone can go to, whether you go into that one person in a group or quietly sliding off to that one person. It's like, okay, I have this going on. Can you help me type thing? So with that, you have the core to all of the friends, but then no one realizes that the core is about to be dealing with some things too. So it hits the ground running, and it is all about serious life happening. And basically, we're all going to find ourselves on the side of needing to extend forgiveness or needing to receive forgiveness. We're going to all face those one or two of those sides. The thing is, what makes a difference is how you choose to handle that and what your response will be to it and how you respond to it. That's what's going to make the difference in the outcome. It could be an outcome for the better, or an outcome that just continues to get worse.
That is true, and that's the purpose of excuse me, of the 12 Faces of Sober podcast. Is I had to go through that. You know, like I said, in a point in my life, I lost a lot. I was homeless before I got sober, and I kind of fell on the hardest of hard times, and had to realize, okay, if I don't give up certain things, this is going to be the rest of my life. And I didn't want to be on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona. So I knew I had to make a change. And luckily I had good people, a good support system that was there, that was able to be like, you know what, hey, you come back to Minnesota, you get sober, and we'll do nothing but support you.
Right.
And before I go on, I want to send some shots out to Miss Kiera, and Miss Tanika. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, I'm not saying but hello. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If there's anybody else in there, please just say hello so we can shout you out as well. Also, now, since you said that the book has been out for some time, now where are some of the places that you can actually purchase the book?
Okay, so the book is available on Amazon. It is available at the actual publisher, which is Zulon Press. And then, of course, if you simply take the title of the book and take my name, the author's name, Delanda McNair, and the ISBN number, you could just pretty much call it into your favorite or your local bookstore and have them order it from you for you. So you do have options.
Oh, okay. Oh, shoot, my sister's in here. Hey, what's up, Quisha? What's going on? Hello. So now I'm gonna pull one of the questions that was asked to us in our Sonship Publishing group. Who is your target audience? Like who is your ideal audience that you want to pick up your book?
That would be the individual who, be it consciously or unconsciously, has given up on a certain area of life or life period simply because they chose not to forgive or receive forgiveness, because there truly is a healing gift in extending and receiving forgiveness, and you're worthy of that. Otherwise he wouldn't have given it to us as an opportunity.
True. That's true. Real good. Now, I meant to you mentioned it earlier. Mentioning your mom. Now, what other challenges did you face during this process of writing your book? I know you mentioned your mom was. I don't know if that
Um,
was a challenge, but that was something during the process that you faced.
it's interesting that you asked me that, because the more I actually talk about this book, the more I realize that um okay, so my father died in 1996. Um, Now, as it relates to his death, no, there are not, the storyline in Father, Then the Eyes Can See, is not represented in the first book. However, it is represented in the second book, which is You Taught Me. No, 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 no. No, it isn't. It's represented, what's represented in that one is one of my brothers died. He was like only 46. He died March, it was March 2010. And it was an unexpected death. And so in 95, I did not realize how, me being so far away from my family for so long, I mean, it didn't seem long to me because I had been there since birth up until 17. But I miss every Father's Day, every Mother's Day, one of my parents' birthday, most of my parents' anniversaries, Christmas, Thanksgiving definitely was a miss because I was either on a flight or in a hotel or on my way to an airport. So I got no family time. I spent a lot of time solo or with a flight crew. Um, so I did not realize that there was areas of me that still needed proper healing from my father's death in 1996. And so some of that comes out and it's crazy because it's indirectly, when I was reading it, it made me think of him. There's a there's a situation in the book where there's a older gentleman who volunteers at the elementary school, and he actually goes in and reads to the students during the all the teachers' study time. So here, all the children go to the library at this time, and they have a story time. And it's this elderly gentleman who comes in volunteers. Well, one day that he goes in to do the story time, he doesn't show up because he died the night before, and one of the students lived next door to him, So the student knows everything that happened. And before before the teachers could come in and properly, gather the children together and let the children know comfortably what happens, the little boy goes to school and he automatically starts talking. So by the time they get to story time, they're wondering, okay, where's Mr. Green? Why can't we have story time? The little boy's like, oh, he's not coming because he's dead, type thing. So it strongly affected one of the little girls, who is her parents is one of the two of the main characters in the book. And so she's talking. So it was so much so that she didn't want to leave the library. So now all the students they're going to lunch or going to the playground, and she's like immobilized. And so her teacher calls her parents. And when the parents come, there are some questions that the little girl starts asking her father that it shakes him. But again, I did not purposely ask these questions. The storyline was given to me by God. So now that I'm reading through the book, it's like, wow, that was one of my questions when my father died. But there was a more adult side to that question that I asked. So that was one of the things that, looking back through it now, it's like, again, there is so much more of me that's in there, be it directly or indirectly, than I truly realized. I did not realize that I was still dealing with my father's death at that time. I did not. And the thing is, what's so crazy about it is I was in training. I got the phone call a Friday morning, and he was on my mind all day the day before. And I kept saying, no, I always call him tomorrow. And I actually literally picked up the phone, dialed the number, and I was like, that's okay, I'll call him tomorrow. I never got my tomorrow. The call I got was my younger sister saying, hey, are you sitting down? I'm like, what? And it was like, I was in Tennessee at that time. So it was like 5:30 in the morning because I had to be to work at 7. And so she was like, are you sitting down? And I was like, no, why? For what? Just tell me what it is. Because I'm still like moving, getting ready for work. And so she gives me the news. And then it made me stand still. I'm like, what? Like, so one of the first things in my mind, and I was talking to my sister about this, was, wait a minute, like, he can't die. I'm not married yet. Like, who's gonna walk me down the aisle? Like, crazy things like that. Like, I don't know why my mind went there, but yeah, I was like, okay, how he gonna die and I'm not married yet? Like, he's supposed to walk me down the aisle. He's supposed to hold my first child. And I'm going through all these things that in my mind I took for granted that he would do, because again, he was only 56. No, he was 55. He died 12 days before his 56th birthday. And I had seen him the last time it was 2 weeks prior to his death that I actually saw him. I spent 2 weeks with my parents before I went into training for that next training I had to go into. And you know what I did after that call? I continued to get dressed. And my boyfriend at the time was like, what's going on? I told him everything. And then I was like, can you just drive me to work this morning? I don't want to drive. So he drives me to work. And then he was like, you sure you want to go to work? I was like, yes, I got training. And so I get to training and I'm going through most of the day, but one of my classmates noticed that something was different about me. And she finally came over. She was like, what's wrong? What's going on? I was like, no, I'm good. And she was like, no, you're not. What's going on? And I was like, what is it? Like, I'm fine. And then she was like, DeLanda, something is going on. And so this is what I said. I was like, okay, so how about I got a call this morning telling me that my father died? And she looked at me like, girl, like, and why you here? Like, so she starts fussing at me, like, we're friendly, like, like, girl, you need to be with your family, going all this stuff. That never crossed my mind. It's like, okay, I got the news. Okay, I got this training at X time. I need to go to training. And then so when I went to talk to my trainer, she was like, DeLanda, I am so sorry. Like, why are you here? She was saying the same thing. She was like, you could have simply called us. You didn't have to be here. But that never crossed my mind that I could dip out on training and just go straight home. I don't know why. So yeah, that's crazy, because I got there because I chose to go to training that morning. By the time I got there, it was maybe a couple of hours before my father's funeral. When I got home, it was I got there in enough time to go and actually see his body before the true funeral, come back home and change, and then go and have the true funeral.
I noticed a couple of things that you had said. Now, I myself have not completely read my own book. And I am like so afraid to read it. Even though I've, it's been great response, the responses from it. I'm just, I don't know, I'm still in shock. Like, wow, I really do have a book. And it's crazy because I never thought, you know what I mean? And also I wanted to share with you, seeing that you share something personal. I lost my grandmother last year, and it tore me apart in a lot of different ways. And this is brand new to everybody because a lot of people don't know this. But I didn't go to the funeral, and it tore me up. And I'm here in Florida, and the funeral was in Mississippi. Now, people thought it was going to be drama and all that, but that's not where I was going there for. And the good thing about it is that during, before she had passed, I was able to see her. I think it was 2017, like the first, not even the first full year of me being sober. And she was right there with me every time I would call. I know you going, you're doing good. I'm hearing you. You're not drinking. And then she would always ask me, when you coming back home? When you coming back home? And it was like, I'm coming. But just like you said, I got that phone call. I never forget it. My cousin AC called me and was like, he took a deep breath and he was like, she's gone. And I was like, wait a minute, man. Like, I was trying to get my stuff together so that I could, go up to Mississippi and visit. And I couldn't even get a chance to do that. So, and people don't know as well is that I almost like completely said the heck with my book. I was like, I don't care. Like, I had the manuscript done. I didn't find the editor yet, but I was like, you know what? What's the use? You know what I mean? To me, it was like I felt like people, they turned their backs on me. And so it was like, all right, well, what's the use of putting out this book I already proved to my grandmother that I got sober, but it was like, okay, but there's still people out there that need to read this. So I'm glad that you put out your book, you know what I mean? And you did not give up, because far too many times people do give up when it comes to death or loss of somebody close to them. So I can totally understand and relate to you on that.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's wow. Um, I was just in execution mode, and that's part of that is a good thing, and then part of that is not so much of a good thing, because when it comes to me and being in execution mode, my feelings don't have room. There's no place for my feelings right now. No, what do I need to do? Okay, fine. I'm going to figure out a way to do that. And so that's what I did. I did that for a number of years. And my younger sister and I were talking, and she was just saying how it was about 2 years before she realized it. And see, and at that time, like, I knew God, but I was not living like I should have been. I was not doing all the things that I knew. There were things I knew that I should have been doing differently. I would say it that way. And so when I got that call, someone said something. Someone was asking me about my father, how it came out. But I know they use the words that, I'm sorry to hear that your father passed away. For whatever reason, and this is just me, in my mind, I'm thinking, passed away? No, he's dead. Like, there's no coming back from this. Like, there's no past to me. It's either life or death to me. Like, no, let's just be clear. He's dead. He's not coming back. Like, I won't get to talk to him anymore. That conversation that I was waiting to have with him that next day, I can't have that conversation. Like, those questions that only he can put his voice on for me, no one can do that for me. So it was crazy. But see, and my younger sister was saying that she just said, okay, well, he's passed on. You know what I'm saying? He's done his time here on earth. Now he's going on to be, you know what I'm saying, on the other side. He's passed on. I said, no, that didn't work for me. I had to remind myself he's dead, because that means done, final. It ain't no coming back. And I was like, that's what I had to tell myself. And when somebody would try to come tell me, I'm sorry to hear your father pass, I was like, yeah, he died on X day. Or yeah, he died 12 days before his 56th birthday, or whatever the conversation was. I was like, I would reconfirm, yeah, he died and dot, because it was almost like for a second, it was like, oh, maybe he really didn't. There were times after he died, I was still picking up the phone and going to call him, like, yeah, I need to ask him. I'm like, wait a minute. Delaney, like Delaney, he's dead.
Yeah.
You can't call him.
Right. That's interesting. Now, let me see. Oh, look, and in the middle of a live interview, I'm getting people knocking at the door. I don't know who the heck that was. I can't. They walked away. I don't know who that was. Oh, but I want to send a shout out to Ashley Monroe. She's out in Korea. She's in South Korea, stationed out there in the Army. We used to work together. I'm sorry I didn't say hello before, but hello.
Hello.
So I think you almost did. You almost hit everything. Now, my question to you is, what message would you want to message or words would you want to give to the reader, or someone that's dealing with some of the things that you've mentioned? You know, like you had those tough times, but you were able to overcome them. When some people just don't bounce back from it.
Right. I would say be willing to allow yourself to simply not be perfect, for one. I know for me, I believe in God, and His word does not tell me to be perfect. It only asks me to be obedient. And that's the big difference. Perfection is a mandate thing. Obedience is a God thing. So that helps simplify some things for me in life. There are going to be times when you disappoint yourself, and you will. You choose to extend yourself grace, because for some time, there were things that I disappointed myself about, and did not realize that I was still, you know how like, man, you still tripping on that. I was still tripping on that with me, but I didn't realize it, and it was coming out, and it was displaying in my actions or the lack thereof. So extend grace to yourself. Give yourself the gift of forgiveness, even self-forgiveness. Say, okay, you know what? You know good and well you shouldn't have done X, Y, Z, but you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. We're going to let that go. Forgive yourself. I release you. There are times I have to tell myself, Delanda, you were so wrong for X, Y, Z, but I release you. And tomorrow you're going to do it better. So you just encourage yourself, because you may be the only person in the room, or the only person that got the wind of that situation. So be okay with encouraging yourself, forgiving yourself, and also be open and willing to extend the gift of forgiveness to, because that is truly what it is. It is a gift. It's a gift. Why would you withhold that from anyone? It doesn't matter what that person did, and whether or not you're justified to being as angry or as closed off to that person. Being right in that is not worth what you forfeit when you withhold the gift of forgiveness.
And I'm gonna tell you, and I was just something popped in my mind as you were speaking. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, big shouts out to Zarek Smith out in L.A., Los Angeles, California. Oh man, let me see. What was I about to say? As you know, as an author in the process, at least just for me, like I didn't, I guess the most important thing was like all I wanted was just one person to read it, and I was okay with that. It didn't really matter who that one, but just in, like I said, my book has been published since last August, and I mean it's not like bestseller yet, but it's pretty close. But I just think that being able to sit down and write a story, regardless of if it came to you in a dream, if it's real life experiences, it's still something of yours. It's your body of work. It's the same way like if somebody paints a picture and does whatever work with that particular picture, that's their work. And it's the same way. So I commend you. I commend you for not only putting out one, but you have two books. And that's my goal. I got one coming out too in November, but we ain't gonna talk about that one yet. But no, it's about my Army. It's about my Army career. So in my book, I touch on it a little bit, but I'm going in depth. So it's like, okay, from day by day. You know what I'm saying? I say it now, I say it again. There's going to be names mentioned in it. I'm not going to change up nothing. Because I want these people to know that, hey, you're poor leaders, you know, that are still in the military. And
Right.
what's going on to my one of my best friends, Anthony Lyons, out in Bremerton, Washington. Big shouts out to you as well. And so here it is. I'm opening up the floor. If anybody out there has any questions from myself or Delanda, go ahead and ask. If not, Delanda's going to ask me a couple questions. We're going to turn the interviewer into the interviewee. So, you know what I mean? Hey, this is cool. I'm gonna tell you, I was super duper nervous about this because, like I said, I don't do lives too often, but I don't mind it because it's not too much of a difference. It's just live and not recorded. So, but yeah.
Well, this is different for me too because normally I do everything from my cell phone. So I'm on the laptop. So like I'm like, and then this ear thing just is not being my friend right now, and I have to keep pushing it back in there. And I apologize to all the listeners. Again, I am a full-time caregiver, so right now my mom is she's not that comfortable right now. She's dealing with like she has a little pain in her body, so periodically she will cry out. So that may have been heard. And congratulations to your book that's coming up. It's funny that here's the thing. My focus has been a little off because I have writings for book 3 and 4. I have 50 pages for book 3 and I have 50 pages for book 4. And book 3 was supposed to be my Christmas gift to me last year. And then book 4 was supposed to be my birthday gift to me this year. So my birthday is in June. So maybe God to give me a speedy focus and I get both of them done to myself. My birthday gift to me this year will be my 2 books, the 3rd one and the 4th one. So we'll see. And it's interesting that I get to talk to you today because tomorrow will be Farther Than the Eyes Can See is actually scheduled to be 99 cents. The ebook will be 99 cents on Amazon. So that would be a great opportunity if any listeners here is interested in that book. That book title will be, it should be available on Amazon tomorrow for 99 cents.
Okay, Quisha, you heard that. One of the books is Farther Than the Eyes Can See, not farther, but Father, Father. Farther Than the Eyes Can See. That's the first book. And the second one is You Taught Me. So those are her 2 books. And so look forward to that. Now, since Miss Delana don't have no questions for me, Miss Kiera, do you have anything? I'm waiting for at least like one question.
No, I have questions for you. Did you look? Wait, is there any questions for us in the comment though? Before I don't want to overlook anyone.
My sister, she asked the names of the book. LaQuisha Oliver, that's my sister.
Okay,
so
cool.
That's why I repeated that. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is to you. First of all, again, congratulations, because like you said, it is not easy to be transparent. I know it wasn't easy for me to be open, to be willing to put my face and name out there. And I didn't even share my life to the level and degree that you shared yours. So congratulations. So my question for you is, what was the hardest part about your write journey? From the time you decided, the whole process, and then going to publishing?
I was, well, 2 things. One, and I don't like to keep repeating it, but the toughest period was writing about my marriage because it was still fresh. And, you know, I'm over the situation, but because it's like I'm, you know, trying to, you know, move past it, stay sober. And so that was the hardest thing. And then, like I said, I was in the process of like completing grad school. So that was definitely difficult. I honestly, like I said, I almost quit grad school like 3 different times because I was just like, the heck with this. And then to stop that and then to pretty much just decide to move to Florida and then like kind of put my book on hold to make the transition down here to Florida. So I had to say that, you know, and like for me, like I said, and I mentioned, a big shouts out to St. Cloud State University. I'm an alumni 2 times there. A lot of the students that I interacted with from 2017 to 2018, even till now, like they inspired me, they motivated me because, like I said, I graduated from there in 2003, and they welcomed this old guy because I was like 37, 38 at a school that I, got history. Like I ran wild at that school, to be honest with you. And so it was good to go back, and it was good to be a mentor. But then they're like, so you don't work? Okay. So what happened? I'm like, oh, you don't want to know. So as the more I talked about it, the students were like, wow, you're really trying to get sober. Like you're, not trying, but you are sober. They're like, wow, this is amazing. So it was like, okay. So the more I talked about it, the more it gave me the fuel to like, you know what, I gotta reach this younger generation because
Yeah.
I was like them, eager to get out of college, but hit a roadblock. I was out of college for basically 2 years before I started to pick up heavy drinking.
Mm.
And it was because of the fact that I had a bachelor's degree and I couldn't find work. So,
Mm.
so yeah, that was pretty much sums it up and everything.
Okay, so wait a minute. You said St. Cloud. Is that pretty much right outside of Kissimmee, Florida?
No, no, no.
Okay. I was about to say, wait a minute.
Nah, no, because look, I said the same thing. No, there's a St. Cloud in Florida, yes, and
Yeah.
I haven't been there yet. I definitely want to go, but nah, St. Cloud is in Minnesota. It's like 45 minutes, 30. It's about 30, 45 minutes northwest of Minneapolis.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so my next question for you is this. Having lived the life you've lived, walked the steps you walked, your journey being the journey that it is up until this point, looking back over all of that whole canvas, what three things have you taken away from that? Would you look back and tell yourself now, or wish somebody could have come and told you those three things that would have helped steered you a little differently?
Um, I'll throw my sister another shout out. Um, More or less, I remember one time she texted me and I forgot what I had did, and she was just like, "I'm disappointed in you."
Oh,
And I got a lot of those disappointments, and I would probably say just the family, like for a lot of the struggles I went through, like they didn't give up on me, but they're like, when are you gonna get it? And I finally got it because I went to four. I'm not gonna lie, I went to four rehabs before that last one is when I got it. Um, but what would I tell myself? Not to um, not to get in a relationship or to get married just for the fact of getting married. Like I got married because I didn't want to live in the barracks, and 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 then I fell in love with that person, or at least I thought. So I would definitely say, nah, I wouldn't do that. So that's two. And then the third one would be, um, do you know how much fun you can have being sober and traveling? And like I thought I would have a difficulty with that.
yeah.
And when I would say like the first 6 months, I think I went to South Africa, went to California, I went to Mississippi, all within like a 6, 7 month span. And it was just like I'm still having a good time, but I'm not drinking alcohol. So
Right.
I would definitely say those three things. Good
Gotcha.
question. Good questions. Well, Mr. Lander, I want to say thank you for being my first live guest. From the response of the people in the thread, they said we did a good job. So
Thank you.
I want to say thank you. I appreciate you coming on, sharing, and I definitely wish you nothing but the best of luck on book 3 and book 4. And
I wish you the best too.
I look forward to getting you back on so I can interview about those as well. So,
Awesome.
like I said, 12 Phases of Sober speaks. I try to connect each and every interview somehow, some way. And you guys heard it, how the connection is. So we both dealt with triumphs and deaths, and we're able to come out of it. And look, we both wrote books. And so, but that's pretty much it. Thank you for everybody who sat through the entire show or a part of it, and they just came in and showed a little bit of love. I really do appreciate it. This will be up on YouTube, hopefully in the next couple of days. I'm going to look at it a couple of times and make sure it's straight. But like I said, I just wanted to say thank you again. And make sure you get the book, Farther Than the Eyes Can See, and You Taught Me by author Delanda McNair.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on. And you
Yes.
guys be blessed and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And Delanda, I'm going to end it, but we'll talk on the other side.
Okay. Blessings,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is 12 Faces of Sober.